Introducing ViziSmart Founder Talks, where we interview exceptional leaders making an impact in our world. Today, we're talking to Stephen Katz, founder of Rebar Capital. Hi, Stephen. We are so excited to have you on the Founder Talks podcast today. How are you?
Doing very well, Bianca. It is an absolute pleasure to be with you because you represent the intersection of two things of my life that are so important. You represent entrepreneurship with my 19 years of venture capital, and you represent real estate with my 12 years being involved in real estate ownership and management. So what an honor to be here with you.
Oh, I'm so excited to get to speak to you. So can you tell us a little bit more about your background, your business trajectory, how you started, and kind of what that journey has led to?
With pleasure. So as you know, for the last number of years, I've been involved in both working with startups as a venture capitalist, investing in early stage companies and helping them develop into, some of them have been large transformative businesses. And at the same time, I've been involved in multifamily real estate, where we own and manage what's called workforce multifamily housing. It's been two completely different disciplines. And the opportunity here is basically the merger together. And to go back to give more of a background before that, I came to those two activities after spending about 10 years on Wall Street.
Oh, wow. That's amazing. And you've had huge milestones all over your bio, and it's been a pretty exciting journey. So yeah. We are seeing currently a lot of changes in investment, particularly in AI and in real estate. Is there a secret or a trick that you can share with us, maybe from your Wall Street times, on how to pick a winning investment, both in real estate and in technology?
Well, I mean, there was, the way you make money is you pick the good ones, right? So you pick the good stocks, you pick the good real estate, you pick the good startups.
Good.
The truth is, what's interesting is that real estate and startups are two completely different disciplines, right? So when you buy real estate, for example, multifamily real estate that I'm involved with, I'm buying a physical asset. And at the end of the day, when I own it, I'm responsible for it. I'm responsible for the ownership and the management of that. The prior owner, that prior owner's history, gone. As soon as I own the property, it's all me. But when I invest in a startup, I'm not investing in necessarily a technology, I'm investing in a team. I'm investing in a founder and a group, and they're going to manage the development to a vision. So when I give money to there, I'm giving money to people, and I'm empowering them to reach their dreams, right? So the two different aspects are very different. To get a return in workforce multifamily housing, you have to buy smart, you finance smart, and you have to manage efficiently, right? And I think that what we've been doing has actually been achieving that. And what we're very hopeful today is that after a pause in acquiring properties for the last number of years, we think it's an opportunity for us to grow in this market. And for technology, especially at the early stage, it's people, right? And you're investing in people that you believe can deliver returns. You basically make a decision that you agree with the outlook for the market, that you believe that they've identified a customer pain, they have an ability to deliver that product to that market and find product market fit. But at the end, it's about amazing entrepreneurs like yourself. Really, that's what it is.
Thank you. I appreciate the compliment. So is that what drove your success in like double-digit returns? It's just like focusing on the people that are running it and just trusting that they can do that?
Well, it's a combination of trusting that they can achieve their vision and having alignment with that vision, right? At the end of the day, we know that along the way, you're going to find out that you need to pivot a little bit, you need to change. That might be the product change, it might be a go-to-market, it might be the actual product itself. But you know that those people that are at the helm are the people that you believe in, that can take that company from where it is to where it needs to get to. I've been lucky enough to invest in a number of companies that have exited for multi-billion dollars, a number of companies that have become public companies with large valuations. And I've seen the other side as well, right? Because with every great investment that I've made, there's also been some investments, as one of my colleagues used to say, with an exit for zero valuation, which is part of the transformative process. And yet in almost every one of those investments, both the good ones and bad ones, I'm super proud of them. I'm super proud of them because I think each time I picked excellent entrepreneurs and ones that I believed in, and ones that really gave it their all in order to achieve the dream that they were going after.
That's amazing. I feel like that's kind of a dream investment opportunity for founders. You want to find somebody who is actually aligned with your vision, who is actually rooting for you, behind you, like supporting you. And it's not someone who just gives you money and walks away, you know? Like there are two kinds of investors that I have seen. There's ones who are really kind of, here's the money, that's it, I just want my returns. And then there is that other side where they're here for you, they are supportive, they want to be more involved even, and they want to see you succeed. So yeah, it's amazing.
I do believe that business is partnership, right? And just like marriage is a partnership, friendships are a partnership, or a business partner is a partnership, we all have different needs, right? And you find that match that's the right match for you. As long as you know that you're going into that partnership with that type of person, or that type of investor, or that type of business person, then you're on a journey that's going to lead to all good things, right? Even if the business doesn't succeed, at least that partnership will hopefully succeed.
That's really affirming because we have been so picky with like culture fit being the top priority for us, no matter who we work with, no matter who we have come in as an investor. All of that is very much contingent on that culture fit. So yay. So have you seen big changes throughout your career in terms of like transformational events that have changed the investment landscape and maybe even in the real estate landscape?
Over what time frame are we looking at? Are you talking about my entire career, or are you
Your
talking about?
entire career. Like what
Oh
are,
gosh.
can you just pinpoint some like exceptional events that have happened in life that have just like changed things?
So let me share it to you this way. I'm going to tell you a little bit about my first job.
Okay.
So that will give you an idea of the transformation. So when I looked for my first job, I was told this company was looking for work. And so they wrote down the address on a piece of paper. I printed out a resume. I had to write on an envelope an address, put a stamp on it, and put it in the mail in order for them to get my resume, right? So then when I got the job, I needed to get an apartment. I had to buy a newspaper. I had to open up the classified ads, look at all the apartments in the area that I wanted to find an apartment, and to rent an apartment. Then I needed to do some research beforehand. So I went to a library and I looked at books and I got microfilm in order to do some research. So, and then of course, when I needed to get in touch with somebody, I had to go to a payphone like Superman and put a quarter into the payphone in order to have a phone call. So the truth is the world has changed quite a bit, right? So we have seen tremendous transformation. I'll try to schedule it like this. So when I first started work, it was towards the middle of the computerization era, and it was the beginning of the internet era. So this is the first, during the years I started working, this is now the 90s, suddenly productivity was increasing rapidly because people finally had computers and finally knew how to use them. And it was also the very beginning in which I actually got an email. And not all my counterparties had an email. So when I first started working, some people said, oh, I don't have email. Can you call me or send me something in the mail or send me a fax? And so by the end of the 90s, it was all very different, right? We had email, we had internet, we did an amazing transformation. And that was one area where I saw one leap of productivity growth: computerization, email, internet. Then somewhere in the middle of the career, right, we had, and this is actually when I was just got into VC, you had the transformation of two things. One is cloud compute, and the other one is a smart device, right? There was a world before this, right, where if you needed computing power, you actually had to buy a piece of physical hardware, install it somewhere in your office with some guy who had to slap together cables and who knows what in order to get something to work. And your phone was literally a phone, right? And that got completely transformed, right? So that cloud gave scalability, really fast, rapid scalability. The advent of SaaS applications, the advent of fast, scalable product, the advent of rapid upgrades and things like this, and then the smart device. I mean, it's I can't remember the world without it, right? I mean, we were so used to using our smart device. There was a world before that, and right now we're facing another change, and we're at the very beginning of it. The thing is that with all these changes, we didn't really know what the end point was, but we saw the change and we knew change was happening. And that's artificial intelligence, right? And that change is interesting because artificial intelligence is a 60-year-old business that basically found product market fit 2.5 years ago when ChatGPT decided to tell the public, come and look at us. It was November 2022. And it transformed everything. And we're just at the beginning. I don't know where it's going, but it's going somewhere pretty cool. And we're all along for the ride.
Do you remember the first artificial intelligence ever in existence and what that kind of looked like, or what it was composed of? What it was composed of?
Well, I mean, let's put it this way. The first one that was that I was aware of, right, was dealing with chess, right? Where it was, how can a computer beat a top chess player, right? And this was a game between IBM trying to build a computer to basically make decisions on a chessboard versus a human. That goes back now probably about 30 years, 35 years. Now today we think that's pretty silly, right? I mean, it's just a stupid game, and of course I can get a computer to do that. But at that time, that was transformative in thinking, giving a computer to actually make an optimal decision based upon a set of opportunities. Right, here's criteria. You have in front of you 5,000, I'm making it up, I have no idea what the real number is, 5,000 set of moves. Choose one. Choose one that's the optimal one given the situation that you have. That was a pretty hard problem to actually achieve. And eventually did, and then eventually went on. But what actually is in the back end is dozens of various different implementations and models to the one that we know today as GPT, as a generative transformer, right? GPT is generative pre-trained transformer. So this is a type of AI that most of us are familiar with because of our play in games and use with it. But the truth is, that doesn't matter. People look at it and say, wow, this is cool, this is amazing, and it's going to be transformative. So,
yeah. I think it's also changing like the investment landscape, analysis of different parts of businesses. There's I saw this transformation of like the creative aspects of life, the, video creation and the image creation and all of that kind of came first. But now we're getting applications where these autonomous agents are going in and kind of learning how to do these workflows for specific industries and specific businesses. How is AI changing like investment analysis and like processes today, especially as it pertains to real estate?
A great question, and it's super interesting, right? 2.5 years ago, as you know, we got these GPTs that were just incredible, one after the other, unleashing a whole set of power for people. And in the last 6 to 12 months, I've seen that now being harnessed in the tools for evaluating real estate.
Yeah.
Right. So what the current tools today that I've seen, both in development and early stage distribution, it basically eliminates a lot of the manual work in order to build investment models. Right. As an investor, what I do is I get a lot of information from a broker. They'll show me the performance of the property over the last couple of years. They'll show me all the people that are renting at a property. For example, this is multifamily. They might show me things such as the type of apartments, the size of apartments, and the expenses by categories and stuff like that. What most people have done up until this point in time is they get that and they have a model that they use, and they spend hours and hours and hours flipping through these pages and typing these numbers into a model. And when it's done, they say, here's the value, which is odd because there's no thinking, no thought, no analysis. It's taking numbers, typing it in, and letting some Excel tell you, oh, this is the number. And the reason, because we don't have enough time, right? I'm already need to move on to the next piece, right? So I'm spending a lot of time putting in data and not a lot of time really thinking deeply about it. AI has the opportunity to flip that around. You know, AI now can actually suck in all that information, populate your entire model, and then take that same amount of time for me to consider more meaningful things, right? What are my assumptions? What are my hypotheses in order to perform what I call meaningful analysis? And it takes an analyst who has spent so much time basically just moving numbers from one system to another, and actually makes them, it turbocharges them. I guess that's the way to really describe it. Allows them to be much more effective and much more much more valuable. You know, so I think AI is, and that's it's in infancy. I actually see a vision of where this also goes, where it's going to facilitate more deep analysis, gathering more information in order to make a more credible forecast, and giving more tools to the human to think creatively around it, right? Let the AI system do some of the drudgery and let the humans really do the value-added thinking.
I love that. So now with these like deep learning and deep research features, you can really have a more meaningful and understand more and kind of plan long term for what you want in an investment versus just a number analysis and then, okay, I guess I'm going to go with this.
Right. So it basically really does transform what you think of an analyst. An analyst moving from just moving numbers to actually a good analyst being somebody who's had the opportunity to think deeply about what that really implies. And do I have a thesis around this particular property that is unique, different, and correct to allow me to do something more valuable than I would have otherwise, right? And that will be, you know, basically transformative to really identifying needles and haystacks.
Yeah.
At the end of the day, that's what we're all looking for. We're looking for needles and haystacks.
Wow. And so what, in your opinion, what are the pros and the cons of bringing AI into the investment and real estate industries? Remember, AI still has hallucinations. There may be some, you know, sources that are not even real. Like what excites you and what actually concerns you, and how can we mitigate those things?
AI is a tool. It's a tool no different than anything else, and it has its fallacies. It has its weaknesses. And that's true, by the way, about humans as well. We want to perceive ourselves as being perfect, making few errors. But the truth is, we also have our own version of hallucinations and our own version of errors. We get tired, we get frustrated. This makes us make poor decisions from time to time. So as long as we understand what the weaknesses are of the tools that we use, we'll understand a little bit where to use it, how to mitigate with it, and what value we can bring to the table. And if we do it right, we leverage the strengths of both of them. So I do believe, like I was saying before in the story, AI can transform number crunching analysts into critical thinking thinkers and strategists.
That's pretty powerful.
Right? So because what if I send the AI to do certain things, I know I could do it pretty well. So for example, an upgraded version of, if these technologies mean something to you or to the listeners, I'm going to read the optical characters that are in a text. I am going to create understanding. I'm going to map it what's called ontologies of the industry. So I know that this word means this and this subject means this.
Oh, interesting.
Right? We could actually do that quite well. I can then grab those numbers and put it into selected fields. This is not actually new technology. It was just harder in the past, and AI makes it a lot easier. Okay, so now I've been able to build a tool that does the things that, frankly speaking, most humans dislike, and we make a lot of errors. So if I'm looking at numbers, it sounds stupid, and I look at it and I say, okay, the average rent of that property is $1,570. It's very simple for the person to type it in and make it $1,750, with just a little small typo. But that will have major impacts and implications on the analysis. If I don't have enough time to critically think about it, I'm never going to see it. So now I have the AI do it. The AI does it very quickly and very efficiently. Probably, by the way, probably much better than a human, that part of it. But it could still do an error. There could still be mistakes. But I've let that analyst become that critical thinker and that strategist. Okay, so that is, I think, extremely valuable. I'll give you the opposite side. As an investor, it also presents a huge challenge because that tool will be ubiquitous. So suddenly, I'm no better than anybody else if the only thing I do is rely on that model. So now it really becomes doubly important that I'm a critical thinker and I'm a strategist. It's and by the way, right now we're only talking about the investment side, right? But there are many other use cases for AI, which will both make people better and more efficient when done right. It will also level the playing field, which means that our differentiations are going to become from slightly different areas. We're going to need to transform as the industry and tools transform.
I've been thinking about this a lot in terms of like children growing up and being raised to somewhat rely on these technologies. How do we facilitate like critical thinking, fact checking, actual like for a human to feel empowered to be able to check those sources, to be able to really make sure that the information that they are being told is accurate instead of just accepting what's being told and saying, oh, this genie in a bottle just told me this, I'm great, that's it.
That's a challenge for all of us, isn't it? It's a absolutely huge challenge for all of us. You were asking me about my career.
Yeah.
So I'm going to go back to that and I'll share an interesting story. So as you heard, I started my career on Wall Street. And I started my career on Wall Street after a very short career as a scientist.
Oh.
Okay. So I actually worked at a place called Brookhaven National Laboratory as a researcher and scientist. I realized that I wasn't as sharp or as dedicated as some of the scientists there who were brilliant and super capable. So I found an opportunity to work on Wall Street as a researcher. And on my first day of work, I got a list of things that I'm going to need to do to be prepared every day. So my boss, who was a chief economist for a group at the time called Sanford Bernstein, said to me, you're going to read the New York Times and the Wall Street Journal every day and have that done before our morning meeting at 7:30 in the morning. Okay, that was my first job. And so, because I'm stupid and naive and had no compunction, I said, why 2 newspapers? What? Because these are 2 very, very good newspapers, but they have different perspectives. And what you'll find by reading both of them is that there'll be something in the middle that we'll call fact, because that they're all basing on it. Throw out the rest, that's opinion. And now use your judgment, your analysis, and your assessment to make your opinion based upon the facts that you now know.
That is so great. That's like a really good way of teaching people. Okay, so we just need multiple sources.
It's the only tool that we currently really have to try to separate the wheat from the chaff, the fact from the opinion. Or in AI, right? Let me ask the AI system, or let me ask multiple AI systems in multiple different ways the same question.
Yeah.
And I will be able to look and try to separate fact from fiction, right? If you want to look at the AI at generative transformers. So I might try something in ChatGPT, and I try something in Perplexity. I might try something in Cloud, and I might try something in Gemini, and another thing in Copilot. And I'll look at all these things and say, okay.
There's actually software that somebody created that does all of this for you, and it actually tests on all of the different models, called nat.dev, and all of them side by side. And at first I think it was free, and now I think you do have to pay for this because it's costing them quite a bit to generate.
Oh, for certain.
Yeah.
For certain. I don't want to even go into it right now, but I know quite a bit about Perplexity because it's a portfolio company in the fund that I work in.
Oh, cool. Very, very cool. So in terms of investment, we've actually seen some sort of hesitation in adoption of AI. So what do you think will help resolve that? And is there anything a company like ViziSmart can do to facilitate and bridge AI adoption and investment?
It's certainly a great question and a really hard question, right? And I think those are always the best questions. So I'm going to try to break it down. First, AI is a buzzword, right? And there's a lot of hype around it. It's very cool. And people understand it because people have been playing with it. You know, you brought up before, kids are doing their homework with it, right? People are doing their research on it and they're writing with it. We were just talking about all these use cases that people were doing. But on the back end, most people don't really care what AI means. They don't understand how it works. It just doesn't matter, right? It's just this magic box that's giving me stuff back. And that's great, right? Now, there are some functions which our bar is quite low. Kids don't really want to do their homework, so whatever the thing spits out is good enough, right? No, I'm being very serious. If I just need to get something done, let the system do it, and whatever it says, that must be right. But other functions are higher, right? We set the bar higher than that. So, talk about the first time that somebody got into a car and there was no driver there, right? It freaks people out, right? Like the bar is really set high. If you look at all the data, autonomous driving vehicles that have been allowed out of the system, so they've obviously, it's not anybody building it, it's gone through a few checks, drive significantly better than humans. But our bar for being comfortable with that autonomous driving vehicle is significantly higher. We get obsessed by certain things that, the machine makes errors, and we will be unaccepting of those errors to a level that's significantly higher than that bar for humans. And then that happens in business, right? Because we believe our humans are better than the other humans, and certainly better than machines. So we trust humans. We trust those that are close to us. I believe in my own partners. I believe in my own employees, and so I have a trust with them. And I don't trust this unknown system, this black box. So my bar is set a lot higher, right? So that being said, my way of looking at it is, don't sell AI to a business. Sell them solutions to their problems.
Yeah. And I've also
Right.
noticed that a lot of businesses have now just put the word AI into whatever they're doing, even if it's not really AI, even if it's not anything to do with it. And
Mhm.
it's kind of made at least investors really kind of wary of that term. We removed that term from our business a long time ago just because of that.
Mhm.
But how do we make that distinction between this is truly AI, this is something that is learning, that is growing, that is adapting itself and doing all of these different functions, and will continue to, improve on those functions and more functions based on how it learns or what it learns. And then another, how do we distinguish that from this is just the coined term AI added to a legacy system?
So exactly the way you did it.
Okay.
You were going to a business who has pain point, right? And will pay for solving that pain point. And you're saying, I have a solution. That solution works today. It's getting better tomorrow. And by the way, this solution doesn't get tired. It doesn't quit on you. It doesn't steal your data, right? It doesn't, leave you hanging. It's always going to be there. And it's always running, and it's getting better all the time. What you have today is just the beginning. What you'll have tomorrow is going to be even that much more, right? And that's what you're doing. So if it's okay that I talk about this, of course I looked at your website and I looked at the things that you're doing and stuff. So you're trying to transform how properties are managed. And maintenance has a huge amount of challenges, right? So, let's just talk about the basics, right? To maintain a property, you get work orders, and those work orders need to be prioritized. What needs to be done now? What can be done later? You need to assign it. Who's going to do it? How is it going to get done? It might need parts. You need to order those parts. Where are they going to get it from? How much is it going to cost? You need to ensure that not only that all that is there, but it comes together, and then the work is done and it's done right. You also need to communicate to the tenant that you got that done, right? You need to make sure, documented, that it was actually done. You might need to know where those parts came from in case there's problems in the future. Okay, and we haven't even touched so much of it. You haven't touched about move-ins, move-outs, make-readies. I mean, there is so much that goes into all these things. And every property manager knows that if you have the right tools, your employees are more productive, your tenants are happier, and you'll be more profitable.
Yeah.
So this is the world you're facing, right? And so while you are using AI, from my perspective, and this is my perspective, you are a vertical SaaS using AI, that vertical being the property management world. You're a software as a service with an AI engine that delivers value, right? But the biggest challenge for you is, what is that value? And that value is determined by the customer. So you engage as many customers as possible, right? You go and identify their pain points with them. You figure out which ones they're willing to solve resolve with money, right? What is the profile? What is the profile of that customer, that early adopter who's willing to work with you and grow with you, right? And if you build that product market fit, one thing that's interesting about the real estate industry from my perspective is it's like sheep. Once a few do adopt it and it starts talking about it, a lot more people want to come in and adopt. Now, it's not unlike many other industries. It's a little bit slower than some. There's definitely, technology transformation is a little bit harder in the real estate industry, but there are early adopters. There are definitely pain points. Just keep talking to your customers, keep working with them, and I'm sure you'll find these pieces along the way.
Okay, amazing. Thank you. So, how do you see intelligent maintenance and data from intelligent maintenance affecting investments? For example, how could you use if something has been damaged by the tenant versus property deterioration, and how can you use that to make better decisions?
Data with AI can definitely change how we manage our assets, right? We can be more efficient with how we do things, and we can make more effective decisions. So your question was about property inspection. So maybe we can go there, right? If I do human property inspections, on human property inspections, right, we have biases, we have errors, we have inefficiencies. But if I actually am able to use a tool that can do this effectively, we can do an unbiased way of actually looking at the transformation between beginning and end. And that unbiased tool will help us recover damages from tenants that are identified as things caused by them. It can make properties more efficient and more productive, right? So let me give you another example. If I have enough data and it's presented well, I can make decisions on other things, such as, do I replace this air conditioner, or do I repair it? Or an appliance, or even something bigger, such as a roof or a sewer or a water line, right? Because I want to make the right decision, and I don't necessarily have that ability to make that decision all the time, but data can certainly help us make better decisions. So I think what you presented, both on the inspection side as well as other places within the property management system, can certainly be augmented and even enhanced, even transformed by the use of data and AI. And I think the value for the property can be relatively apparent over time.
Okay, amazing. And do you see somebody kind of seeing the value initially, or having to use it and actually get acquainted with it to see that value?
It depends on the individual, right? Real estate management is typically on the latter end. It's a laggard in terms of technology transformation. Mm-hmm. Okay, so you have a lot of, we've always done it this way. We have a system in place that works.
Yes.
Okay, but there are other places in which it really doesn't, right? It really doesn't work as well as we might think it does, right? And so there are people that are already used to using tools to help them make decisions. So I'll try to tear through some of the transformations. I was joking around about how I found my first apartment with classified ads. Obviously, that has transformed over those years. We've done the classified ads now. We have, automated ad buying, marketplaces, pricing that's automated by systems, so that has transformed, right? There are other areas that have transformed, for example, in how do I price my property? How do I price my rent? How do I price utilities? How do I price renewals? How do I price fees for damages? There are systems out there that some of the more innovative and larger groups are using in order to do what's called revenue optimization. But there's also, for example, when you were talking about before with inspections, that's revenue recovery, right? And what you're saying is, let's continue that transformation. Okay, you have your funnel and your pipeline with advertising that's transformed. You have revenue optimization that's been transformed. Let us transform revenue recovery and value protection, right? Because when you maintain a property well, it's value protection.
I love that. I love what you said.
Right? And for that, you need to find the right people that are willing to engage in that. There were early users and adopters of the new funnel for renters. There were new early users and adopters of revenue optimization. Most likely, those are the same people that will be early adopters of additional tools that help maintain value and recover value.
Awesome. Yeah, this is such an exciting time in life. I'm so excited to be a part of just everything that's happening and all of the opportunity. I feel like we're kind of in like this renaissance era of technology.
Yeah, I'm with you. I've been one of the luckiest people, I think, to have had a front row seat to technology transformation, right? And the luckiest part of it, to be honest with you, are the people that are making it happen.
Really?
And you are one of those people that are trying to make that happen. That makes me super lucky to be here.
Oh, thank you. I appreciate it. We work really hard to make it happen, and we're excited.
I'm so happy where people are potentially interested, in improving their maintenance and property management and other things. Okay, so I'm making a recommendation to people. If you see your transformation having multiple steps, right? So you've transformed how you actually have your pipeline. You've transformed how you actually optimize your revenue. And you want to continue that because you see the value in having the right tools, delivering value for your tenants, value for your owners, and value for the property. And they need to speak to you. They need to set up a meeting with you. They need to see how you're going to take it to the next step. They need to see your vision and be part of that, because through that conversation, they can be part of those early adopters and the shapers of what, frankly, just in this conversation, I called, revenue recovery and value preservation, right? Value preservation, I guess is a different way of saying it. Because we're at the cutting edge, we're at the cusp. You're early on. You have a vision. You're driving like no other can. RealPage and Yardi and Entrada, they're amazing organizations, but they can't deliver innovation like an entrepreneur.
And they can't move as quickly either. They have a lot on the line. If they make a mistake or if they put out something that has a bug, they can lose customers, and they're not ready to do that. For smaller companies, like, we can change things quickly, we can improve it exceptionally quickly, and there's new features being added every single month, just new capabilities and added capabilities all the time. So yeah, definitely,
it's incredible.
Give AI a chance in your business and improve your efficiency.
Yeah, AI is definitely the next transformation. We can't think of a world, right? So we started this conversation, we can't think of a world without a computer.
Yeah.
But I remember the world before those were, right? I'm an old enough person that I remember that.
That world. I didn't really remember it until you started reminding me, and I was like, wow, that's true. I was also part of that world.
Right, so before the computer, before the internet, before the smartphone, before cloud computing, today we couldn't even imagine a world without that.
Yeah. How difficult.
There's an opportunity right now to work with you, to be part of the early wave of that transformation. Because 10 years from now, we're going to look back and say, how did we live without these AI tools?
Yeah.
Okay, without these tools powered by AI is another way to look at it. Because I do believe that AI is kind of like saying computer or smartphone, right? It's the application and tools that we have in it that we see as transformative, created or enabled by those base core capabilities. So that base core capability of AI is going to enable all these things, such as what we're talking about, value preservation and value recovery and other things that we're going to be able to do along the way. And I invite, without asking you for permission, early innovators and early adopters to be in touch with you and be part of this transformation as an opportunity to deliver value to all property managers out there. Well,
this is a really, really great ending point. I really appreciate you being here, Stephen. Thank you so much for coming onto the ViziSmart Founder Talks.
Thank you very much for inviting me. It was my honor.